Welcome back to The Takeout. Tensions between state officials in Minnesota and the Trump White House are increasing. The Department of Homeland Security is claiming that local authorities are not cooperating. Minnesota Corrections Chief Paul Schnell tells our Nicole Sganga those allegations are false.
Does it feel like the Department of Homeland Security is lying when it says that state authorities are not cooperating?
It is fundamentally false. We cooperate with ICE and ICE detainers. We have, as a matter of policy, done that for a long, long time. And so how they can say that is unbelievable. I just cannot find any way to explain what they're doing.
Nicole Sganga joins us now from St. Paul. Nicole, I'm always happy to have you with us. What else did you learn in your conversation with Mr. Schnell?
Yeah, Major, just to set the scene for you, if you can hear protesters behind me, it's because we're outside of the federal law enforcement ICE facility here in St. Paul. We were inside that building just yesterday. I'll get to Mr. Schnell in just a minute. But inside that building, Major, we were told by top ICE and CBP officials a pretty explosive, what they said was a fact. I think the jury is out on that. But that state officials have released upwards of 400, 500 criminals into the streets of Minnesota. Now, we asked the top corrections officer in the state of Minnesota, Paul Schnell, about that. Take a listen to what he had to say. The Department of Homeland Security says roughly 450 criminals have been released into Minnesota's streets. And you say you don't know where that number comes from?
We have no idea where that number comes from. We know that we released 84 people.
To ICE.
To ICE, that were subject to detainers. And so this notion that Minnesota is not honoring federal ICE detainers is utterly untrue.
Why is this so far off from the American public's understanding of what's happening?
I can't explain it. It makes no sense.
And Major, when you hear that discussion of federal detainers, immigration detainers, basically an immigration detainer is a request from ICE that asks the federal, state, local law enforcement agency, prisons, jails to notify ICE as early as possible before they release a removable individual or someone who is here in the United States illegally, and to hold that person for up to 48 hours so that ICE can pick them up. Now, yesterday, in that federal facility, we also heard from officials within ICE and CBP that said right now there are more than 1,360 ICE detainers statewide. We went back to Commissioner Schnell. We asked him about that number, and he told us that he did a statewide jail survey and found that 207 individuals in state prisons and 94 in county jails are subject to ICE detainers right now. That is fewer than 300, and that is certainly nowhere near the 1,360 immigration detainers that DHS claims are out right now. So we have reached out to the Department of Homeland Security. But while for weeks we've been covering sort of dueling narratives here on the ground in St. Paul and in Minneapolis, we're now finding that officials can't even agree on the actual numbers here. And you have the state's top corrections officer telling us he's not even sure where DHS is getting its facts.
That is important reporting, Nicole. Thank you so very much for that. I really appreciate it.